E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now, right here on Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Sr. The Philadelphia Eagles have pushed the record to 3-0 after a dominating performance over Carson Wentz, their rival, and the Washington Commanders, their rival, by a final score of 24-8. We're going to break this game down in full. We're going to take your questions and pass along our best analysis, but my goodness, what an impressive performance for Philadelphia on the road at FedEx Field as the Eagles family was able to make this a home away from home game for Philadelphia, making Carson Wentz go into the silent count, a couple of false starts throughout this game. But outside of that, just a dominance performance for the Philadelphia Eagles as they continue to move forward. And I told you all throughout this week, what I love about this football team, that gives me 2017 vibes, they are content with dominating teams and coming out with victories like they did against the Detroit Lions, like they did against the Minnesota Vikings, like they have now done against the Washington Commanders. But why I love this team is the mentality and the culture that we see taking place, where they're okay with the victory, but they want to continue to build upon that and really cover up some of their flaws and weaknesses, and that's what they were able to do in this ball game today. Before we continue to break this game down, Eagles win, fly, Eagles fly. I want you to type that into the comment section right now as we continue to dissect this football game. So really, the biggest note for me in this matchup, divisional rivalry, NFC East, as the Eagles continue to look dominant in all three of their football games. We'll get to the fact that they haven't really scored much in the second half, but at the end of the day, they're playing complementary football. Going into this matchup, the Eagles could have won and dominated this game with a really dominant pass rush. And we know that when you generate a pass rush, you're able to force Carson Wentz into mistakes. And that's what the Eagles did in this football game. And that's really what it comes down to for Philadelphia. They were so dominant in the trenches, offensively and defensively, most notably defensively, where they caused havoc for Carson Wentz all throughout the day. The Eagles' pass rush got home, and I thought Brandon Graham looked like prime Brandon Graham coming off that torn Achilles. The Eagles on the day, 9 sacks. 9 sacks. Fletcher Cox was getting after it. Javon Hargrave, Brandon Graham, Haason Reddick. Really, this Eagles defense as a whole rallied to the football. They played hard. They played complementary football, and they really just embarrassed Carson Wentz. And I understand that Carson Wentz, without him, the Eagles probably don't win a Super Bowl back in 2017. Yes, Nick Foles relieved him, but Wentz played 13 games that year and put the Eagles in a position to get that number 1 seed. So I appreciate what Carson Wentz did. I also don't appreciate him for wanting out of Philadelphia, for throwing shade and disrespect to the greatest fan base in the world, and wanting to be out of here. And the franchise quarterback then turned into a soured tenure, and to get after him today and to put him under siege was absolutely beautiful to see. And for that Eagles defensive line, which entered the game with 2 sacks total throughout the regular season, that ranked 24th in the National Football League, 9 sacks. That immediately vaults them up to the top of the NFL in terms of generating a pass rush and getting home. And here's really the impressive thing. The Eagles were able to generate that pass rush and put pressure on Carson Wentz by only sending 4. And to see Haason Reddick come through with a sack-and-a-half performance, Nick Sirianni said all week he's about to break out. He was able to break out in this football game. And then you shift gears to offensively, to what the Eagles were able to do under Shane Steichen as well as Nick Sirianni. To start the game, I thought that Jalen Hurts coming off arguably his best game as a pro against the Minnesota Vikings. And then before that, I had said that's probably his best game as a pro against the Detroit Lions because he picked up 10 first downs and was absolutely clutch and throwed accuracy, balls downfield, and was really, really impressive. Jalen Hurts, after starting this game rocky, I thought really put it together and was accurate with the football, threw with anticipation. What I loved most, though, you have wide receivers in A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, and the tight end in Dallas Goedert, where if you throw the 50-50 balls up, let them make a play. Allow them to really rise up to the occasion, climb the ladder, and come through with those balls. That's what they did. DeVonta Smith, a couple of really critical big plays in this football game on those 50-50 balls. Same can be said for A.J. Brown. The same can be said for Dallas Goedert. And one of my keys to the game going into this one was Jalen Hurts continuing to take those strides as a passer. And what I loved about today's football game is that he started off a little bit slow. Washington, led by defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio and a really good pass rush, they disrupted what the Eagles wanted to do. But then Hurts, as well as the Eagles, started to make some adjustments, and then Hurts finished the day 22 of 35, 340 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's back-to-back games in which he's accounted for more than 300 yards. And Jalen Hurts, folks, we are seeing right now, he continues to be a bona fide MVP candidate in this league. So with the Eagles' overall dominant defensive performance, 24-8 is the final score. Really, before garbage time had set in, the Commanders only mustered 2 points on the scoreboard because of a 2-point conversion, or a safety, in fact, in which the Eagles had stopped Washington on a 4th and short from the goal line. They only get a couple of points in this football game. Jonathan Gannon deserves credit. So grade the Eagles' performance for me, A, B, C, D, or F, in the comments section. And when you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Watch parties. For everybody who tuned in, greatly appreciate it. It was once again a success. But we give you videos every single day. Eagles news, rumors, analysis, live shows, watch parties, and the best audience interaction out there. Informative, entertaining coverage. Lock us in by hitting that red subscribe button down below. As for DeVonta Smith, he was absolutely balling out. Couple of really big plays downfield, and I really like how Jalen Hurts took some of those 50-50 shots on the vertical game to allow DeVonta Smith, A.J. Brown, to at least draw a penalty flag. And for DeVonta Smith, he didn't have a catch in the first week. The back-to-back weeks, though, against the Vikings and the Commanders, he's looked like just a dominant performer out there. And this is the beauty of the A.J. Brown acquisition. You bring in a player like A.J. Brown, who's been great throughout the regular season. What does that do? Opens up stuff for Dallas Goedert. Opens up stuff for DeVonta Smith, who's looked like the Heisman Trophy winner and the guy who broke Deshaun Jackson's record for the most receiving yards as a rookie. Last 2 games, he's been fantastic. 8 catches, 169 yards for DeVonta Smith today. So I do want to put you to the test with this comment here and with this question. I've made my comments, I should say, about who played well for Philadelphia. But who do you think is the MVP of this game? You have a lot of people to choose from, right? Jalen Hurts, DeVonta Smith, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham was absolutely sensational. Let me know right now in the comment section. Now let's start to pivot to your questions as part of our post-game show, and then we'll tell you about our presenting sponsor, Spirit Hunter TV. When is Howie Roseman going to work on the extension for Jalen Hurts? No one deserves it more than him from what happened the last 2 weeks. And I agree. I told you going into the season that if the Eagles wanted to take that next step to being a truly elite team in the NFC, Jalen Hurts had to take that stride as a passer. He's been able to do that throughout the first 3 weeks. He was the highest graded passer in football going into week 3. He further expanded upon that in this game. I'm with you, Spirit Hunter TV. Now, if you want to bet on the NFL games and NFL slate this upcoming NFL season, make sure you do so with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. They're offering a deal that nobody else can offer. A 125% deposit bonus by heading to chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Promo code Eagles125. What that means is you sign up using that link and that promo code, you get free money, $125 back. To this one from XBO, what do you think this wins, or what do you think this win means in the long run? It's 3-0 on the schedule. It's continuing to add to the Eagles' resume of somewhat quality opponents that they have to take on this upcoming NFL season. Really what it comes down to, though, you stack wins this early on in the season, you give yourself some wiggle room where you don't have to fight and claw back like the Eagles have oftentimes had to do over the last, 2 decades or so. You put yourself in a good position. You allow yourself that wiggle room, but also, here's what's important. Home field advantage in the NFC if you have the best record. And the Eagles have one of the easiest schedules in the National Football League in 2022. So what they have to do, take care of business, and then if an opponent has to come into the link, South Philly, for a playoff game, it's going to be a tough place to win. That's partially why they won the Super Bowl back in 2017. Kara Poole, the real OG, salute to CP Kara Poole. Do you think that Jalen wanted to prove his air skills against Carson Wentz? Yes, I think so. And Carson Wentz looked horrible. He looked horrendous. We were typing in our watch party in the comment section, CDC, because he looked like check down Carson. Carson Wentz was inaccurate. Carson Wentz was under siege and under pressure. Carson Wentz did not look good in this football game, and you could tell there was a little bit of added juice from guys like Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox getting after Carson Wentz, and he looked like a lost quarterback today. That's what I told you going into this game. That's why you subscribe to the channel. You pressure Carson Wentz. He turns the football over like he did with that fumble, which then led to that touchdown to Dallas Goedert. Jasmine Williams. Are we really shocking the world right now? Look, going into the year, a lot of people weren't confident in this football team. I told you I was confident in the Philadelphia Eagles. I had them projected at 11 wins because of a lot of the things that Howie Roseman was able to do throughout this offseason. Building this roster, adding depth, having premium talent, affordable contracts with guys like Haason Reddick, Kaiser White. They were both making plays. And let me say this about Jordan Davis tonight. And today, Jordan Davis was really, really good. He had that pass breakup early on in the football game. He did have that bad penalty, but he was balling. Really good against the rush, really good against the pass. He did notch a sack in this football game and was active in the backfield. Jordan Davis, thank you to Jonathan Gannon for playing him a little bit more. Spirit Hunter TV, Saints are 1-2 on the season. Where do you see the Eagles pick from the Saints will land because they lost to the mediocre Panthers? So the Eagles exchanged picks with the New Orleans Saints. And if the Saints continue to lose games, that then improves the Eagles draft capital. That's really good news for Philadelphia because Howie Roseman with the team that's locked and loaded, that looks like maybe the most well-rounded, most dominant team in the NFC, then can add draft capital to his list of assets, and you put that inside the chest, that's really good stuff there from Howie Roseman. So really my final thoughts for this game is that Philadelphia took advantage of a grand opportunity at their disposal and on their fingertips. They forced Carson Wentz into a turnover. They put Carson Wentz under siege all throughout the day with 9 sacks. They were dominant in all facets, defensively, offensively, special teams. I thought they were really solid. 9 sacks on the day against Carson. They showed him, we don't need you anymore. And yes, prior to the game, he hugged Howie Roseman. He hugged Fletcher Cox and a couple of other Eagles players. But the Eagles brass and the Eagles franchise showed today Jalen Hurts is that cat, and they outright dominated the Washington Commanders to move to 3-0 on the year with a really impressive 24-8 victory. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everybody who tuned into our post-game show. This is the standard that you can expect moving forward here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. The best, most interactive, most informative Eagles news, rumors, analysis, live shows, and watch parties. So if you're a diehard Eagles fan, I need you to hit that red subscribe button down below. And the Eagles now really in a prime position moving forward at 3-0 to continue something special. That's great news for this fan base. That's great news for this organization. That's great news for us here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Appreciate everybody for subscribing, for watching our watch party, for watching our post-game show. Fly, Eagles, fly. And one more time, let's say it all together. Y'all know what's coming. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. We'll see you on Monday for Overreaction Monday.